So the Marine Litter Capital Grants are being provided by the Department of Agriculture, Environment and Rural Affairs. The grants are being delivered to the Live Here, Love Here collaborative partnership, which involves DAERA, 10 of our local councils, the Northern Ireland Housing Executive and Keep Northern Ireland Beautiful. The grant scheme is currently open and it closes at 12 noon on Monday the 27th of September. Live Here, Love Here's connection with marine litter is through Keep Northern Ireland Beautiful. Our strategic themes are pollution solutions, climate action and biodiversity recovery. We also partake in the marine litter surveys across beaches in Northern Ireland, and the current marine litter report has just been published, and it's well worth a read because it describes the type and amount of litter that's washed up in our beaches, and it's very relevant to this grant scheme. The Marine Litter Capital Grant objectives are to enhance the environmental management and quality of a local area by preventing litter and plastics from directly entering the sea, to improve the health and well-being of communities and marine biodiversity whilst helping to improve and/or maintain public spaces, to contribute to a strategic approach to reducing litter pollution in our rivers and seas, to create new aesthetically appealing or engaging innovative assets for deployment in rivers, lochs, marinas and beaches, and to encourage collaborative working to maximise the impacts of the grants. The grants will support organisations, businesses and groups to purchase capital items to prevent litter and plastic pollution from entering the marine environment. And this is probably the key aspect of the Marine Litter Capital Grants. They will also help enhance environmental management of a local area to reduce marine litter, to increase the impact of volunteer litter picking activities, and to improve the quality of the local environment by changing behaviour through creative concepts to reduce incidents of littering. So what is marine litter? In relation to this grant programme, the main sources of marine litter are identified as land-based, so littering of beaches and coastal areas, litter entering rivers and streams, floodwaters, discharge from storm water drains, and also sea-based, fishing and aquaculture industries or illegal or accidental dumping at sea. As 80% of marine litter comes from land sources, the grants are open to all geographical areas across Northern Ireland. So who can apply? Any organisation with responsibilities for managing free to access public open space or has a business on free to access public land. Examples include youth, community and volunteer groups, whether constituted or not, registered charities and NGOs, sports clubs, tenants and residents associations and religious groups, third level organisations and schools, local councils and businesses. Collaborative applications between two or more of the above categories are really encouraged. So to be eligible to apply for the grants, your organisation is likely to be responsible for managing and/or owning free to access public open space, or if not, you will have a clearly defined role in managing the local environmental quality of such space, and this will be formally agreed with the landowners. Projects must be located on free to access public open space, and for creative concept ideas, you must show how it is applicable for free to access public open spaces. You must clearly demonstrate how the project will decrease the amount of litter and plastic entering the marine environment. You must clearly demonstrate commitment and the ability to provide for the ongoing management of any physical assets purchased as part of the project. You must clearly demonstrate that funding will only be used for the purchase and installation of eligible capital items. So the grants are available not just coastal areas, as 80% of marine litter comes from land sources, and the grants are open to all geographical areas in Northern Ireland. Projects on land that stop litter reaching rivers, lakes, drains, or any waterways are all eligible. In this way, projects will help ensure good environmental status of our coastal and marine environments in relation to litter. I'll now pass you over to Nicola to talk about the different types of applicants.
So the grant is open to many different types of applicants, and we'll now just talk through the different types that there could be. So if you're applying as a school or a third level education organisation, for the purpose of this grant fund, schools' grounds are considered as public open spaces. Schools must demonstrate how they will use any asset purchased in an educational context. Financial support of between £500 and £40,000 will be available to applications meeting the criteria. And there is no requirement for applicants to obtain match funding for the projects. If you're applying as a constituted community group, sports club, church group, or other type of group, financial support of between £500 and £40,000 will be available to applications meeting the criteria. There is no requirement for applications to obtain match funding for projects. Evidence of collaborative working with landowners and planned maintenance of capital items are essential. And items purchased are for the sole use of litter removal. If you're applying as a non-constituted community group, financial support of between £500 and £5,000 will be available to non-constituted groups. There is no requirement for applicants to obtain match funding for projects. Evidence of collaborative working with landowners and planned maintenance of capital items are essential, and items purchased are for the sole use for litter removal. If you're applying as a business, council, or other public landowner, financial support of between £500 and £40,000 will be available to businesses, councils, or public landowners meeting the eligibility criteria. These applicants must provide 50% of the match funding towards the grant awarded. And match funding must be used for the purchase of capital items. Ongoing maintenance and servicing costs cannot form part of the match funding. So what are we looking for? We're looking for projects that would have a positive environmental impact, that are sustainable, that provide real impacts, that are innovative, perhaps looking into project research. We want to see collaboration. We would like to see issues tackled at source, projects that touch on biodiversity sensitivity, creativity, pilot projects, and projects that meet the evidence of need. So why should you apply to the Marine Litter Capital Grant? This is a fantastic opportunity to tackle the problem of marine litter at source. Online application process is easy to follow, and there is great support from the Live Here, Love Here staff. There will also be a dedicated grants officer to assist with your claim, and you will get the opportunity to showcase your project through a site visit or a case study. And the grant claim process is straightforward. So here are some Marine Litter Capital Grant project ideas. Projects could be such as innovative interactive bins, big belly solar bins, cigarette butt bins. Projects to tackle gull and rodent scavenging and spilling. Resources to encourage behaviour change through education. Capital items required to collect and transport litter for suitable disposal. Creative projects that capture litter before it reaches the watercourses. Artwork that is also a bin. Capital items including costs of creative elements. And innovative installations to enhance the use of bins. The grant scheme cannot fund everything, so we'll run through a list of the items that we can't fund. Project running costs such as salaries, insurance, mileage, office overheads, administration, project management fees, advertising, and promotional costs. We cannot fund costs for events, volunteer expenses, including water bottles or any items of clothing. We cannot fund professional fees more than 25% of an awarded grant. We can't fund structures requiring maintenance from a local authority unless a management or maintenance agreement can be evidenced. We won't fund murals, signage, posters, banners, leaflets, and literature. This grant fund cannot act as match funding for other projects. Projects must be external, so we cannot fund indoor bins or indoor projects. And the grant scheme cannot fund dog filing bins. We also cannot fund litter picking equipment for individuals or groups. These are available through other opportunities through the Live Here, Love Here initiatives. We cannot fund gardening projects, and we cannot fund waste removal costs. The grant will not fund any items that are not deemed to be capital expenditure. And the grant will not fund retrospective costs. So only items purchased after the letter of offers have been issued are eligible. Remember, the Marine Litter Capital Grant will only fund capital items that will equip organisations and people who manage open spaces to reduce marine litter. So this next few slides will show some examples of possible innovative ideas that we thought maybe would be nice to have a wee look at. So we all know that coastal and seaside towns are the victim of scavenging seagulls. So perhaps some sort of project around gull-proof bins. These ones on the screen are the big belly solar compactors. And they compact the waste down, so then it actually needs to be emptied less often than a regular bin. It's got a lever and a handle, and the items within the bin cannot be accessed by rodents or gulls. Another idea could be bigger capacity and informative bins. So perhaps bins that have like images on them that hold information, some innovative bins that encourage people to use them. And then there's something maybe a bit bigger and a bit different. So this could be a pilot project for Northern Ireland. So an example there is a boom that would capture the marine litter items before it actually reaches out into the sea. There's another example of a floating drone that would capture the litter from the surface of the water. And then on the image below, you can see a bubble barrier. So that is a barrier of bubbles from an underwater network that floats the litter to one area of a river, and then it would be collected. So these are innovative things that it could be exciting to see these happen in Northern Ireland. So we will just now work through the application process, and the information can be found on the liveherelovehere.org website, and you can go to liveherelovehere.org/marine litter grants, and that will take you directly to the page. On the page, you can download the guidance documents, and that will have all the list of criteria, eligibility, and objectives that you will need to complete your application. So whenever you want to begin your application, you can create a new profile, or you can use and log on to your existing Live Here, Love Here profile. So if you've applied to any of our grant schemes before, or Adopt a Spot, or even registered an event on the website, then perhaps you will already have a profile, and that's the login details that you can use. And you can easily create a new profile if needed. So whenever you log in, you will be brought to your profile, and on that page, you will click the grey button that will be called Marine Litter Apps. This will open up your new application. You will then add a title for your application, and then it will bring you into the standard application form. The first section of the form is just about capturing the applicant's details. And this is about where you will tell us that you have the relevant insurance in place for your project to take place. And you will tell us about the council area where your project is happening and what type of group that you're part of. The next stage, we would want you to tell us about, are you responsible for managing the area of land that your project is going to be in? And is your project located within a free to access public open space? Then it's also very important to tick the box and to let us know that you've read the guidance notes. It is very important to read the guidance notes because they will contain the information that you need to complete this application form. Then you'll scroll down to section 2, and that will take you through the project details. And this is where you will tell us about your project and your project idea. So if you tell us about the description and what evidence you've collected to demonstrate the need for your project, and then how it meets the objectives of the grant scheme. And specifically, how will your project decrease the amount of litter and plastics entering the marine environment? Again, that is very important. We also want you to tell us about your strategic approach to reducing litter and any previous or current collaborative work that you're involved in to prevent marine litter. Then we do want to hear about who will be involved in your project, and perhaps if that is not relevant, then you do just write not applicable. And then we would like to hear about how you intend to maintain your project in the longer term. With this grant, there may be need for collaborative working or for working in partnership with your local council or for a waste removal company. So there is a section for you to upload any documents that may be relevant to your application. So if a third party will be involved in waste removal, please provide confirmation letter or email demonstrating their knowledge and commitment to the project. So there is an upload function where you can upload that information. And as we mentioned, as bin-based projects will require regular waste removal, you must provide details of how this process will be managed by your organisation or a third-party waste removal service. Costs for waste removal are not eligible for funding. Then we come into the project cost section. So this is where you will outline the items that you want to purchase through the grant scheme. So we've put in an example here about 10 gulf-proof bins and 10 compactor bins. You will need to add in the full cost of the items that you wish to purchase and the amount that you will be requesting from the grant scheme. The system will then auto-calculate the amount and percentage of funding requested from the grant scheme. So that will auto-total for you. And if you are requesting a larger percentage than what you're eligible to apply for, a warning box will come up and it will advise you to look back at your calculations. So if you are applying on behalf of a business or a council, then you need to confirm that you have the 50% match funding available. Then section 4 is generally the terms and conditions and also where you heard about the grant scheme. And then it's very important to note that the progress bar needs to be at 100%. And only when it's at 100% will the click here to submit your application link appear. So you must make sure to click that link and to submit your application just before the deadline. You will receive an automated email confirming that your application has been received by us, but be sure to check your junk box because it sometimes goes in there. Also, while you're completing your application, the form will auto-save, so you don't need to worry about completing it in one sitting. You can go back and go back into your application. So here is just another overview of important dates. So the scheme launched on the 30th of June, and it is open until the 27th of September. So the closing date is 12 noon on the 27th of September. The letters of offer will be issued to applicants and to the people awarded the grants by the 18th of October. And from that date on, you can begin your work and you can begin your project. And the project completion and financial claims must be submitted by the 23rd of February 2022. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A function. Or if you have any questions that you would like to ask, please use the raise your hand function. And you can contact us at marinelittergrants@liveherelovehere.org.